Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, extensive local coverage of coronavirus preparedness. Many closures in our area with more announced today, and no skiing over the March break. Welcome inside the Your TV studio for this Monday edition of Cogeco News. Truly local, my name is Clarke Heipel. While risk in our region is being deemed low, concern over the spread of coronavirus is high as an unprecedented response to this virus continues to impact our daily lives. There are 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Northern Ontario, both cases being Sudbury-based. We begin our local coverage at the North Bay Regional Health Centre. As of mid-afternoon on Monday, there are no positive cases of COVID-19 at the facility. New measures are being implemented as the hospital is restricting visitors and scaling down non-urgent clinical activity. This as a temporary COVID-19 assessment center is set up outside the emergency wing of the hospital. As of 8 p.m. tonight, visitors will no longer be permitted to access the hospital unless under exceptional circumstances as approved by officials. In regards to the scale down of non-urgent clinical activities, more information is to be released over the coming days, and patients with existing surgeries and appointments will be contacted. Meantime, cancellations, postponements, and closures far-reaching in our region. The YMCA on Chippewa Street closed as of noon today until further notice. Good Life on Main Street closed until further notice as well, and Fit for Less at Northgate Shopping Centre closed. The Humane Society joined the long list of extended closures on Monday. Staff announced that public will not have access to the facility, but staff will continue to provide care for shelter animals and will continue to answer calls concerning stray or injured animals. Nipissing MP Anthony Rhoda, who says he is self-isolating, joins us by telephone on this Monday. Earlier today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced tough new rules to flatten the coronavirus curve. What's next is a question put to our MP.
We have Canadians who are outside the country and they're worried. No, Canada is your home. You are welcome back, and that is not an issue. Just in our office, for instance, we're taking extra precautions. What we've done is our staff is in the office in North Bay and in Timiskaming Shores, but we're asking people to call in or email us before coming to the office. The door is not open. What we're doing is, if people can give us a call, we'll see if we can resolve the issue online or on the phone line, and then we'll go from there. And if they have to come in, we'll make sure that we have all the necessary precautions made up. It's almost like setting up an appointment to come in. The citizens of Nipissing Timiskaming are in good shape right now. We don't have anything running rampant in the riding, which is a good thing. We're all in very good shape. People are staying home. One of the things that we are doing is every day at noon, the Public Health Agency will be making announcements just to let people know where we're at and what's going on. And in case you missed that announcement, I recommend that people go to travel.gc.ca, and that'll give them a good idea of what's going on with travel and the situation with COVID-19.
I asked the MP if Canadians returning from foreign countries will be screened for COVID-19.
But if you're coming back and you don't have any symptoms, we ask that all Canadians be responsible and self-quarantine. Stay home for 14 days. That's the safest thing. I know we've done it with MPs as well, asking them to be careful because, we meet a lot of people, and it's important that we kind of isolate. So I'm open and I'm accessible by phone or by email. I'm self-quarantining. I'm staying away from social areas. So, yes, I'm being very careful.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford also held a press conference on this day announcing measures to protect workers having to take time away from work due to the virus. We get a provincial update from Nipissing MPP Vic Fedeli.
We continue to monitor all of the changes and remain at the ready to react to every different situation. For instance, our Minister of Agriculture has done a release saying, take it easy on the stores. There's lots of food. The food supply is strong. They're still growing food here in Ontario. We have one of the greatest supply chains anywhere on the planet. So there is no need to panic at the grocery stores. We're still making toilet paper every day. Maybe the distribution is off by a day because the demand was so great, but there is no need for you to have to hoard your goods. You heard from the Minister of Long-Term Care that you should not go to a long-term care facility to visit a loved one unless this is an extreme circumstance. And to be blunt, extreme circumstance means dying or extremely ill. So we're asking everybody to use some common sense and precaution as our government continues to monitor and adapt to all of the changes.
People are obviously been heightened from a sensitivity standpoint because of what's gone on in the press and social media. Do you have to find yourself trying to calm people down?
Well, there is a lot of misinformation out there. I would say to you, go to ontario.ca/coronavirus. If you want to know what's happening, if you want to know what to do, you should go to the trusted source, and that is your Government of Ontario, and it's ontario.ca/coronavirus. That's where you'll get your information. That's where it'll talk to you about, for instance, the changes we made in testing centers, our new command center, the fact that you can call your doctor. We put a new telephone billing system in so your doctor can accommodate you over the phone with talking about your symptoms. There are a lot of changes that we're making on a daily basis, all to react positively to make sure that our families are safe and well.
You are going back to Toronto. It was a call that I guess came out on the weekend that you need to meet in Toronto. What are going to be the substance of those meetings?
Well, our cabinet continues to meet. We meet by phone as well, but this is an opportunity. Look, this is affecting everything. There's a health issue, and that's our top priority, but I am the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and eventually we're going to need to make sure that people are working, that people still have all of the day-to-day goods are still flowing properly. So I'm in constant communication with the Retail Council, the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, the large automakers, the Manufacturers and Exporters Association, all of the small business groups. That's my role. That's not to say that our whole government isn't attending to the other areas, but my role is to make sure that we have an economy.
That's the next question. Obviously, the economy's taken a significant hit, and there are fears that greater hits are going to come. Does that negate some of the progress that you've made as a government and you as a minister in trying to establish trade relations where you very well might have to start all over again?
Well, for one thing, our trade mission to South America in the month of April is postponed. There's no question about that. We made that announcement. All international travel is postponed and suspended for the time being. But the thing about Ontario is our fundamentals are so strong, and that is precisely why for the last 18 months that we have been looking for these efficiencies, making sure that we have a strong economy.
We now hear from North Bay Mayor Al MacDonald, who is in the final day of self-isolation. The City of North Bay has taken new measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus.
We're doing everything we can. Our health unit is the lead, obviously, and we defer to them on recommendations, and we adopt all the recommendations that they put forward. From a city perspective, we're doing what we can to decrease exposure, not only for our staff, but for our citizens. So, you know, the community town hall that we're going to do in the Burke Lake playground, we're now going to do online. We did cancel the council meeting for March 24th. We've gone to summer hours now on transit because of Canada or Nipissing being closed down. There's not as much demand for transit, so we're taking those steps. We're making steps on cleaning our city facilities and giving information to our staff on how they can protect themselves. And really just following all the latest information and science from not only our health unit, but from the provincial and federal government, and working closely with our community partners.
And city facilities are set to close as of tonight?
Yes, we've made the decision to close our arenas just because people are in close contact in particular the dressing rooms or when they're on the ice. It is a low risk, but to put people in confined spaces is not recommended. So we did make that change and did go ahead with closing the arenas as of 5 p.m. Things are changing rapidly, as you know. We're following what's happened on the global perspective, but we're listening very closely and working very closely with Dr. Jericho and his team.
And what consideration has been taken for the effect on the economy with events being canceled and with major gatherings not happening? So certainly there will be an effect on the local economy.
Yeah, no question. There's an effect on the global economy. You just have to look at the financial markets in the last week or so. They're down almost 25 to 30%. Locally, there's probably lots of examples where people maybe aren't going out to the restaurants or to places of business. We encourage people to still continue to shop locally, not to hoard. The supply chain is strong.
With announcements from all three levels of government on this Monday concerning measures to combat the spread of coronavirus, the economy very well could pay the price. We check in with Chamber President Peter Jericho.
Yes, it's going to have an effect on business. The federal government is certainly aware of this, looking at ways that they're going to be able to support the business community after this is over and during this, because there are going to be implications. We're seeing it in our hospitality side of things, conventions being closed and canceled, hotels, restaurants, all of these things. And probably one of the least group of people that can afford for slowdowns. So it's encouraging to hear that they're looking at it. They've put some monies aside or are accumulating some monies for people so that they can move forward with EI requests. They're waiving the 1 week waiting period, these types of things, but it is going to take time and it's going to take patience. And it's also going to take quite a bit of humanity to be able to look at this and just being kind to neighbors, friends, people. Everybody's going to have to come through this together. But as we have in the past, I'm quite certain that we will once again.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced that employees that are affected by COVID will get financial assistance and not lose their jobs because of time away from work. This certainly is a good move for employee confidence.
Absolutely, to make sure that employees that do not feel safe or, in a higher risk type of situation, that they can withdraw from work should they feel the need to, and to be guaranteed that your job is not going to be lost because of that decision it takes off a great weight off those employees.
For the first time in a long time, the price of gas has dropped below $1 per liter at several North Bay gas stations. As you can see here, 99.9 cents a liter for regular at the Shell on Fisher Monday afternoon. Despite the drop in price, North Bay still considerably higher than the provincial average, which sits just north of 85 cents a liter. We have reached break time here on this Monday edition of Cogeco News. More local news, weather, and sports right after this. Welcome back to Cogeco News. It is Monday, and that cues us up for another edition of the Entertainment Insider with Adam Contant. This Monday, we are focused on the worldwide impact of the coronavirus on all aspects of life, including entertainment. Very pleased to be joined by Adam Contant, the Entertainment Insider. Adam, with the coronavirus concerns, entertainment is certainly taking a hit. Where are you seeing it being affected the most?
I think the biggest place we're seeing it being affected is obviously theatrical releases, both from a standpoint of movies being pushed back. I think one of the more high-profile films is the new James Bond movie, which was set to be come out in May, which has now been pushed back to November for concerns of low theater-going numbers. And just in general, obviously, people are afraid to go out and be in crowds. And that's certainly understandable. Obviously, the crowds that we're talking about, especially here locally, are probably not in that 250 range that has been kind of floated around by health officials. But there's still a concern of we're gathered in a place with a group of people, strangers that we may not know. Until we're given instructions to stay away from complete public outings like theaters, unless they are shut down, I still feel confident enough that to go to films. Clearly, I went this weekend. But that being said, I understand why some people would not feel comfortable with it or would want to take that extra precaution. There's certainly this is a situation which has to be respected and has to be taken seriously. There's just obviously a little bit of a difference between taking something seriously and panicking about something going into a hysteria. In terms of how the film industry is handling it, I think they're probably doing the things that are best for their business, which is postponing the larger ticket films until there's a little bit less concern about going out into public places.
Now, entertainment as a whole, whether it be sports, whether it be TV, whether it be film, it's escapism. And with sports being canceled and potentially movie-going being canceled, there's a lack of escape for folks, and that is a concern for me.
Hey, sports, films, whatever. Let's talk about the real threat. WrestleMania could be canceled, and Clarke, that would be a huge, huge blow to my entertainment week schedule. But in all seriousness, we kind of live in an amazing age right now. On one hand, absolutely, the lack of live sports and other live forms of entertainment are really a big hit. But on the other hand, we live in an age where we have things like Netflix and YouTube and Disney Plus and Prime and all sorts of streaming sites that are available to us. Our entertainment options have never been more vast than now. That being said, this is a good time to maybe catch up on some old favorites that you've missed out on, or grab a board game and sit down with some family or friends, play some cards. There's lots of options and things to do for us while we hunker down and let this storm pass. Because in the end, that's what it is. It's a storm, and much like any storm, it'll pass and we'll get through it. And in terms of entertainment, although we may not have as much as we're used to, there's still plenty out there.
And from what I gather, you will continue to be available for the Entertainment Insider, which is a relief.
There's a ton of streaming services out there and lots of movies I haven't seen. So if I have to record it myself and send it to you via email, I would love to continue to watch movies and review it, so that if you are at home, if you are staying in isolation, maybe I've got a recommendation or two for you to check out while you're hanging out in your home.
There is Adam Contal, the Entertainment Insider. Adam, thanks for this.
My pleasure.
We have reached break time here on this Monday edition of Cogeco News. Do stay tuned. Our Greg Estabrooks has your 5-day weather forecast right after this very short break.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back, everybody. Greg Estabrooks here at Laurentian Ski Hill, one of countless locations that has been shut down for the year because of COVID-19. It's a sad, sad story, but it is the new normal for all of us to deal with, and let's deal with it as best as we can and be smart out there. We're going to get now to the weather forecast brought to you by Environment Canada and Canadore College. Overnight on Monday, periods of snow and a low of -1 degree. Wind chill -6. Tuesday, 1 degree. Flurries, small amount, just 2 centimeters. Wind southwest at 20, gusting to 40, a high of 1. UV index is recorded 2 or low. Overnight Tuesday, clouds, 30% chance of flurries, very chilly, -12. Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud, 2 above. Nighttime on Wednesday, cloudy, -3. Thursday, clouds again, warming up a hair, so it will be snow or perhaps rain showers, high of 4 above. Rain or snow Thursday night, 0. Friday, high 0 with snow. Clouds, small chance of snow overnight Friday with a low of -14. The normals for this time of the year are 1 and -8. On Sunday, the high -4, the low -14. That is it for the weather for this Monday, March 16th. Clarke Heipel will have more right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. Time now for your sportscast. Virtually everything is closing, and count the Laurentian ski hill in that ever-growing number. Just before what would be one of their biggest weeks of the year, the season is over. The final word came from the top, the Ontario Ski Resorts Association.
OSRA came out and wanted all of the Ontario ski hills to close. Can they force us to close? No, but they are a governing body. They do help us with things like insurance and liabilities and whatnot. And so, yeah, we followed the herd and and closed the hill. We did not want to end the season this way. There's no doubt about it, but that's what happened.
Especially this week.
Well, March break is always a very important week to us financially, of course. It gets a lot of people out on the hill. It's the best time of the year to ski. I mean, look at it right now. It's just gorgeous out here. And but that's the reality of today in this coronavirus, and we understand.
Doubly painful is the fact that schools are closed for the next 3 weeks, which really could have been a financial boost. Now that's all gone.
To go 3 weeks with the snow we have left, because it hasn't been a big snow year, but we certainly would have had a solid March break, and then we would have at least pressed on through the next week and gone as long as we could go.
Years ago, a situation like this could have been a death blow to the ski hill, but Graham says the finances are a lot better these days. It's not a knockout, but it is a bit of a body blow.
Well, it's a big week. The 2 weeks of Christmas and the week of March break are amongst our premier time, right? So, but that being said, I think we're going to be okay this year. I think we grew our base. We've had good year. I think I have a lot of work to do. We're certainly giving out a lot of refunds right now, and we'll see where we end up. But at the same time, I think it'll still be a decent year.
So instead of welcoming dozens of skiers and campgoers, it's time to say thanks for coming out.
I mean, we wanted to be a little kind of respite of normalcy of just bring your kids out and let them get some fresh air. I mean, we had a plan to keep them on either sides of the lift chair. We had a plan to pass tickets through the window. You know, we had a lot of, you can see the picnic tables on the hill. Eat outside. It's beautiful. It's just not, it just got pulled out from under us. So
that does it for this Monday edition of Cogeco News. Do stay tuned to Cogeco News all week long, continuing coverage of coronavirus local angles Monday through Friday. We have reached the conclusion of this edition of Cogeco News. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you live at 5 on Tuesday.